Welcome to The Love Affair, a relationship podcast. Listen in as we discuss all things love and relationships starting now. Hi, everyone. This is The Love Affair podcast. I'm your host, Robin, also known as Robin the Renaissance.
And I'm her husband and co-host, Jim, also known as Jimmy K.
Yes, and we are back. We're continuing the conversation around marriage vows, and we're going to pick up where we left off in our previous episode discussing marital vows, specifically obedience. So you heard what I had to say and why I really just do not like the word obedience, especially in marriage, but I need to hear from you. What are your thoughts on it?
Listen, obedience, this whole word about obedience, submit, this is a very hot topic. Not a hot topic.
It is.
Not hot topic, but it's a very
I would say touchy too.
Touchy, it could be explosive. So I'm gonna give you two reasons why I don't really particularly care for obedience being in the vows. Number one, when you talk about obedience, that's kind of more of a parent-child dynamic, not two grown adults trying to interact with each other. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. Number two, I think, you want to go to number two now? Or you want to wait?
I agree with you. I do want to hear both of your reasons.
Number two, I think it can be when it's perverted and when it's taking advantage of the word obedience. It can be abusive. It's kind of whoever's in power will kind of use that. Will kind of use that to their advantage and maybe lack compassion. Maybe lack consideration of the other, we're talking about marriage, so we're talking about your spouse. You kind of lose that compassion, and because I said we should do X, Y, Z, it needs to be done, no matter what you think, how you feel. You know what I mean? So it kind of just puts one person here and the other down here.
Yes, you know what? You using that analogy of putting one person over the other, that is probably the crux of why I have an issue with the word, but also the implementation and all of the other theology, philosophy, ideologies around obedience in marriage. And I think part of it is this. Actually, it's two-pronged for me. One of it is, I think it is rooted and grounded in patriarchy and misogyny. And it only applies to the wife. Where I am a person, I like to think of myself as, I'm not a feminist because I don't even know really exactly what feminists believe, but I'm not in a power struggle with men. I'm not trying to get men to yield to me or men should yield to women instead of women yielding to men. I think I'm more of an equitist. If I'm using that, yeah, I'm it's more about partnership, and I'm more about, I think equitist is a word.
It's a word.
It is a word.
It's absolutely a word.
I feel that each party is equal. Each party should contribute equally. It doesn't mean the same.
Right.
But it should carry the same value. It does. Each partner's contribution carries the same weight, the same value. So there is no hierarchy or power to be had in a marriage. That's a partnership. I think that's what I feel about it. So that's number one. I think it's rooted in misogyny and patriarchy. The other part of it is, I need this question answered. I don't know if you have to be the one to answer it, but this is the question that I need answered. Number one, what is this deep-seated need to control someone else, especially in marriage? The men who go toe-to-toe over, your job is to submit. I need to understand, why is that so important to you?
Oh,
not you.
No, I was about to say, that's never been me.
It hasn't. That's true.
I think, we had conversations before we got married about something as simple as, do I want you to fix my plate and bring it to me? You remember this?
I sure do.
And I was like, no. I said I can fix my own plate.
You did.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of that type of, I guess we call that style of quote unquote obedience or submission. I'm not okay with that at all. That's to me that's abusive. But yeah, I just think that's abusive. So
Well, wait a minute. What do you mean is abusive? Because I don't think bringing someone else's plate is abusive.
To require that.
Okay.
To for me to put it on the table and say, when I come home from work, my plate, have my food ready, my plate ready, have my slippers or whatever, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Those kind of things. That stuff is,
Yeah.
when you talk about submission and that word submission, that's what people's mind go. That's where it goes to.
It is still semantics, but it's also the entire construct around why a woman needs to obey a man in marriage. The thing is, I'm a veer off here. It's a societal issue where there are just certain ideas around men being the head and the leader, the boss, the this, that, and the other, and that's rooted in so much foolishness. I think now we are in 2022. I think we see women in leadership in the home, outside of the home, and I think there it's just a total culture shift. It just doesn't fit in today's society, in today's cultural norm, for anyone to still think that a woman has to be considered less than or lower than a man in any capacity.
That's not my belief at all. Listen. How can I say it? I think it's like in the family dynamic. It's got to be it's still got to be a leader. We talked about this earlier today, that we can, if we're coming to, we got to make a decision about whatever it is. We have to make a decision. You're completely on this side, I'm completely on this side, and we're considering each other. We're talking, we're doing the research, we're doing all of that, but we still at an impasse. There's got to be, in any organization, I don't care what it is, a family, a business, whatever it is, any organization, somebody's got to take that leadership role and say, hey, we're gonna go I hear your point, I hear everything you said, you heard me, but we got to go this way. So I think that's the most balanced, or the most proper way. When you're talking about marriage and this whole obedience, the hot word obedience, that's probably the best way, like what I say, the best, or
it's definitely the most balanced.
Yeah, the most balanced way to go about it. So, but somebody still has to be the head and the leader, because we don't agree on everything. So we get to that point where we got to do this. Usually we got to do this. Somebody's got to make this. Somebody's got to break the tie. It's not a democracy. Even if you got kids, it's not a democracy. Help me out. Say democracy. There you go. It's not that. I mean, somebody has to make the decision.
I agree, and here's what I think. I think I'm more in favor of partnership,
right,
over power.
Okay, I agree.
And it sounds like to me, what you're saying is somebody still has to run point on whatever the decision is.
Yes.
And I'm saying it can be you sometimes, it can be me sometimes, but I think what really has worked so well for you and I think on our fundamental level, neither of us require from the other party what we don't require of ourselves.
Right.
Right. I don't expect you to have certain demands or requests of me that I know I couldn't get from you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think we actually, I don't even know why this gets so, gets me so fired up because this is not our dynamic. It's not even our marriage
Yeah,
structure
yeah,
at all.
mhm.
But I think I
You
know
be
what
ready
it
to
is.
fight.
I do.
Yeah.
Listen, it's the advocate in me.
Uh-huh.
I'm part of the Justice League.
Hold on,
I'm not
no.
even kidding.
I'm listening to you get all fired up. I'm like, this ain't even me. What's happening here? I'm on the
It's
phone.
true.
You know, I mean, anyway, go ahead.
Yes, you know why? I just finished watching Under the Banner of Heaven
Uh-huh.
with the Mormon LDS and
Yeah.
those men and all that nonsense around polygamy and
Mm-hmm.
crime and whatnot. And I said, these men are tripping. And then when the woman wants to speak up or whatnot, then they shut her down. They will shut their wives down by saying, uphold your priesthood holder, whatever it is, priesthood holder or something. And I'm like, N word with the capital N, please. But that, and then you have shows like, The Handmaid's Tale, where it just gets way out of hand. But not just on TV. There are relationship dynamics that we seen it. And it's kind of like, girl, you better get free. And like, boy, you better chill.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. But yes, that's not our thing. But I think what has made us successful for 20 years of our wonderful lives together is that we really defer to each other.
And it's a trust issue. It's a trust thing there because we remember we was talking about buying our first home.
Yeah.
Buying our first home, we saw that house, boy. We loved that house with the jacuzzi in the bedroom, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, you walk off.
Yeah.
It had everything. It had the French doors. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that house.
But
beautiful.
Yeah, you really wanted that. I wanted the house too.
Yeah.
But you really wanted the house.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah. You really did.
And it was way over our budget.
It was over our budget.
Well, we got approved for a lot more money than what was actually in our budget at the time. But I was like, listen, if they gonna give us this money, let's just take it and get this house. And you said,
no. I was like, no. I said no. No, I didn't say it like that. I was like, I don't. No. This is out of our price range.
Yeah.
And because you had that trust, because I was the one that handling the finances.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, I love the house too, but we gotta go somewhere else.
Yes.
So I know you don't. Well, do you want?
Listen. Let me just tell you this much. I am so glad I deferred to you because you were able to see what our finances look like at that time, and your diligence over the finances. Because that's I cannot wait till we talk about that. But your diligence over the finances, you were like, you did not want us to get into a situation that would put a stranglehold on us.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did yield to you, and I did trust your judgment in that, because you had a pattern already established where, you have a better sense of money management than I do. So I'm willing to go along with you on that.
Right.
The other thing is, the market crashed.
Oh, I forgot about that.
A couple years later. And then remember the loan they were telling us that we can get? And I was like, we could get this house because we don't have to pay any financing for like the first 3 to 5 years. And then there was going to be this big balloon. And I was like, come on, Jim, let's get this house. And you were like, no. And we moved on from that. And we got a house that we were in for over 10 years. And we look back on that. At least I do. And I'm like, whew, I'm so glad I listened to you and trusted your expertise. Now, so we don't call that obey?
See, that's why I was getting ready to go there. I mean, that is, don't throw the tomatoes at me. It is somewhat, we can pull up the synonyms for obedience, but that was quote unquote obedience. So, in the when it's obedience, when it's not abused, when it's done in the right way. I'm talking about for the person. I know.
I'm wincing.
You swallowing hard too. When it's when it's not abusive, when it's done in a caring way, it really is okay, because you actually in that scenario, and that it was like I was looking out for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, maybe it's going too far to try to put a positive spin on obedience, but I think it works because we obey stuff in the world every day. I know we choose to obey, and it keeps us safe. The stuff we choose to obey, if you just, I know I'm going outside. I'm going out.
Don't go. You
don't want me to go outside of marriage? Okay.
Stay inside the bounds of marriage because that's what happens. That's what happens when people try to make their point in other arenas, especially in religion or politics or something else. They go all outside the bounds.
I said
in the context
of marriage.
Generally,
not ours, but generally, because if whatever expertise the person is in, whether it's finances, whether it's I don't know, just throw out whatever,
What related to a home?
Related to anything that got to travel. You know what I mean? Whoever is more diligent and spending time to research and to find the best deals or whatever it is, just go ahead and defer.
Yeah,
that's how, because you and our travel, you do an excellent job. I'm like, you're getting all the hotels and flights and all that stuff. I'm like, shoot.
You really can just sit back and just tell me where to go.
Where we're going, what time to be there. And I'm, so.
Because I've established a history and a pattern that you can trust. And, okay, so again, those are just examples of partnership.
Right.
And also, okay, we will disagree on the actual word obedience. I'm going to use instead, because I don't like obey. Okay. Again, listen, wait a minute. I'm just saying. Listen, the feathers on my wings are ruffled.
Yeah.
Only because it's something deep-seated inside of me. It's not rebellion per se, but it is.
You sure about that?
It is.
No,
Okay,
I don't know if it is. I'm just messing with you.
But I am rebelling against a certain power construct that has not served women well.
Okay. I understand that.
That's why I do not like that word, and especially in the context of marriage. I don't care how well those people try to repackage and rebrand obedience to call it's submission, it's yielding, it's a covering, blah, 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 blah. It sounds like Charlie Brown and them.
Wah, wah.
Wah, 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 wah. Because what it really comes down to is you're telling an adult that they don't know what's best for them because all of a sudden they got into a marriage and the person they're marrying now knows best. Well, you mean okay? I'm not gonna ramble on.
No, I mean if the leader is really doing what he is best, doing what he needs to do, then
Why is it a he?
Okay. I'm
the leader, he or
I'm back off.
Or wife.
No, I'm gonna back off that. Do you want me to pull up some synonyms of obey? I can pull it up.
No.
I mean, no, because you want to find, because you say this, you might be splitting hairs and semantics, and you talk about you don't like the word. Okay, so what word or phrase? I'm gonna pull it up.
Works better for me. I will tell you immediately. Okay. I prefer the word consideration. I will consider.
I command you to consider me. No, I don't know what that even means. I don't know what that means. That was awful.
I don't either, but I'm just saying I think for me, it's important to leave people with their dignity as often as possible. And so again,
I'm with you on that 100%.
Adults are getting married. Okay, I'm talking now in general. I don't even know this couple in my mind. I'm just saying, imagine you have a woman who has her own apartment, her own career, her education. She got her life in order. Mm-hmm. And she decides to fall madly, truly, deeply in love with a man. Let's say this man also has all of those boxes checked. He has his own stuff going, his own career, money, time, whatever. These two adults, independent adults, decide we love each other. We we are deciding to have and to hold each other. And all of a sudden, this woman has to give up all of her individuality and her independence to merge into his lifestyle. And it's like, why? Why can't they figure out a way to, like puzzle pieces, fit into each other's lives? But the onus is usually on the woman to give up everything she's had to now become a wife. And I don't like that. So I'm probably beating a dead horse, but for me instead, I will consider. Let's discuss and let's consider. And then the framework around decision making, you and I have decided. I don't know if we ever really had this conversation around obedience because it's not really our thing.
I didn't. That wasn't even.
This is such a non-issue for us. Right. But it is clearly it's an issue for me on behalf of other women.
And nobody's even doing that in here. That's the.
I'm not even oppressed.
I'm still stuck on this. You wanna hear some of the synonyms?
I must know.
This is I think Oxford.
Okay.
I believe. I don't know, but
I'm gonna sip my coffee while you tell me all the lovely words.
Your feathers about to get ruffled again.
Oh. Mercy.
Okay, so we do what someone says. That's yield to is another. Surrender to, comply with, adhere to, observe, abide by, conform to. Yeah, you don't like any. Yeah,
that's proving my point.
Well, I'm just saying.
Considerations in there?
No, consent to. Consideration on this site is not on here.
Okay.
So I'm just. You like consideration? I don't even know if that's even because it's not on my screen.
Perfect.
But it's not on my screen with the synonyms of it. So I don't know if
it is not aligned with obedience. It's aligned with partnership.
Listen, if it's not on here, then
come on, make my point for me.
No,
if
I'm not
on there. What?
I'm not making your point for you.
Make my point for me. If the word consideration is not found in your list of synonyms for obey, then what does that mean?
I don't know. You tell me.
I think it's clear. Consideration has no relationship to obedience.
Defer to is on here. We use that like we defer to one another.
Okay.
I mean, you said you like that one.
Okay, because I said semantics.
Okay. Yeah.
I will defer to you based upon your area of expertise.
Yes, and I would do the same for you.
And there we have it. That's why we're 20 years in and going. Yes?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
All right, boom.
I'll run on and see what the end may be.
I'm going on too. I like you a little bit. Yeah, I like you a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like you
I love you a lot.
I do. Me too. Okay. All right. Enough with obedience. I'm ready to move on. Are you?
Let's move on.
That's all the time we have for today, but we're definitely continuing the conversation in the next episode. You don't want to miss it. Before you go, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, rate, follow, do all of those things that will let us know you enjoyed the conversation and that you support us. That would really encourage us to keep going. So until next time, thank you so much for listening and take care.